Okay, so we are doing a staple on our show, Contender Pretender.
Yes.
Today's subject is players who you think will retire.
Ooh.
So if it's Contender, you're saying they're retiring.
They're done. Okay.
Pretender, they're coming back.
Yeah.
Let's start with a softball here. He said he's pretty sure he's played his last game, Vince Wilfork.
Yeah, Contender for sure. I think that he doesn't have anything else left to do or left to prove.
Yeah.
I think he's had a good career, and that's a good way to go out.
Yeah, I mean, he was able to play his last 2 years with Romeo Crennel, his old defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Even Mike Vrabel was on that coaching staff. He's had a great career, Contender.
Yeah, I think it's a Contender unless the only way I could see him playing, and it wouldn't be full season, if like Belichick called him up and said, "Hey, can you want to play at the end of the year and
kind
go
of
on
become
a playoff
like a third
run
down kind of guy."
Just somebody to, if they get in that situation, because they have a lot of guys to sign. Obviously, Wilfork, they decided not to sign him a couple years ago.
Yeah. But if he retires, does he sign a 1 day?
Ooh. I was thinking kind of on the lines of Brett, but when you said, Belichick call him, I could see maybe him signing on as like an assistant D-line coach for the Patriots. Something along lines of, going back and kind of learning and doing things that way.
I think he has to.
1 day, I think, would be
I think
really
he has
good.
to retire.
All right. Now this guy just finished up his contract, Julius Peppers.
I'm going to say Pretender. I think he's got a little bit left in the tank yet.
All right.
I think Green Bay will re-sign him, not necessarily to the money that he was making, and I think he knows it. But I expect to see him in Green Bay next year.
Okay. Brett?
I think it all depends on the money, basically. If Green Bay... I mean, I don't know how many other teams are going to be out there trying to sign... What is he, 37?
I'm not sure.
I think he's about 37.
A 37-year-old defensive end. I mean, I don't know how many teams are looking at that as their number one need in the offseason.
Well, let me ask you this. I think also what you have to consider for this would be, does he bulk up again? I mean, he lost a lot of weight to go to Green Bay.
He did.
To go to that outside linebacker spot.
And he has said he's felt like he's been in really good shape recently. Yeah. I think he said something around the lines of, this is the best shape he's ever been in.
Which could be, he played at 300.
Could be true, and he did well in a limited role this year.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say Contender. I have a feeling he's going to be done.
Hanging up, okay.
Depends on how much he wants to win a Super Bowl.
Right.
All right, this guy just, he might be able to go out with a Super Bowl win. Chris Long.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance. Chris Long. He's not that old.
He's not.
But, he
hasn't had that great of a career.
Right. And, but he's kind of hinted at, if we win, I'm going to kind of just ride off into the sunset.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that I think Contender.
I'm going to say Pretender. I think he said he came to New England not for the money to win. He came to win. So I think he might give it another year. Because being the fact that he doesn't really care about money, New England needs... They're going to have to give a ton of money to Hightower, and he would be somebody they can sign, keep on the system, and really played pretty well for him.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go Contender. I think he hangs it up here. I think he's got a job waiting for him in Fox or something. Maybe work with his dad.
Working with dad. Yeah.
We talked about him before earlier in the show. Adam Vinatieri.
I'm gonna say Pretender. I think he's got some time yet. I think he comes back. Brett said he's within 170 points or so. I think he knows that. And with the kick, I think he's going to come back, break the record, give it another year.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Pretender as well. He hasn't ever talked about retirement.
Yep.
Pat McAfee retired,
which was a complete shocker.
Big shocker. I mean, hey, he
apparently he wasn't retired too long. He works for
Barstool Sports.
There you go.
No surprise there. He's a fun guy to listen to.
Did you see what he did his first day after retirement?
I didn't even
said,
know he worked
I took
for Barstool.
Adderall today.
Oh,
and I understand why it is banned from the NFL now.
I did see that.
Yeah, definitely a fun guy to listen to. Now this guy, One of the greatest tight ends of all time, Antonio Gates.
Ooh, that's...
I mean, does he want to move to LA for a year or two?
I mean, Antonio Gates is that guy where it's kind of like when you try to get a read off of him, like he'd be a really great poker player because he doesn't really give you anything in terms of his emotions that way.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I'm going to say pretender.
Okay.
He seems like the Tim Duncan guy who's not going to say it, so that way he doesn't get the farewell tour, so to speak.
Yes.
He'll just ride off. But I'm going to say pretender. I think he's got another year to teach Hunter Henry the way.
I say pretender as well. I mean, he didn't really suffer I don't believe he suffered a serious injury this year.
He's been having
He's
that
been
toe.
around for a while.
That toe has been bugging him.
He is 36, so...
Yeah.
Oof. I'm going contender. I think he's done. Now this guy was on the other side of the Super Bowl, Dwight Freeney.
I'm going to say there's a legit chance there. I'm going to say contender.
Okay.
I'm going to say pretender. From what I heard, it really, really... I think he will get the drive to try to go for one more Super Bowl.
Okay.
From what I read, he was really, really upset after he couldn't beat... because he wanted to beat Brady that badly, and he didn't get that chance. And I don't know if you guys saw, but opening night next year will be in Gillette versus the Falcons.
Well, isn't that usually how they do it?
Well, no.
Not always.
But, I mean, usually it's just whoever the Super Bowl team, their best matchup versus or at home.
I guess I thought
they happen to play the South next year, so that's why they...
Because the last couple of years, it's either been the repeat of the AFC or NFC championship,
and
right?
it just happened to be that way.
Oh,
I mean,
okay. See, I thought it was set up that way.
The matchups have been decided from years ahead.
Right.
But anyways, this one's an interesting one because it seemed like he'd be playing for a very long time now, but now we're talking about possibly retiring. Darrelle Revis.
I'm gonna let you go first. I gotta ponder a little bit.
What is it? He makes $15 million next year if he comes back?
I think
his contract was 5 years, $70 million.
He has a roster bonus coming up, so there's a possibility that the Jets may cut him.
I'm gonna say pretender. I know he said football wasn't fun and he wasn't really enjoying it, but I think if they don't cut him, there's he's not going to turn down. It's probably right around $12-13 million.
Okay.
To be on a terrible team with really no upside.
Right. Well, I'm going to say pretender for the reason that if he does get cut, I think he's too good that somebody will sign him, somebody that's really close to a Super Bowl. I mean, maybe even a Seattle Seahawks, somebody like that who obviously are hurting for money that want somebody. I think he would be willing to take a cheap contract to win a Super Bowl and maybe call it quits after
Green Bay better sign him. Oh, my God. Not because he's Revis, because he's a cornerback.
Right.
He has experience playing cornerback.
Right. And he wasn't a practice squad guy either.
Exactly. I'm going to say pretender as well. Yeah. Did you see Green Bay signed Ben Wickery to the practice squad? That was a while ago. But
I did not see that.
I
did see that. To add to your list here, I got one for you guys.
Okay.
On the opposite side of Chris Long, Rob Ninkovich. Does Rob Ninkovich keep playing?
That's an interesting one. I'm going to say he will because I feel like he's kind of one of those gridiron type of players.
Okay, like who was the guy for Pittsburgh that had the big beard? That they used to make the jokes about.
Oh, Kelsey.
Yeah. No, not Kelsey.
No, what's his?
He was a defensive end.
Brett Kiesel.
Yes.
Kiesel.
That's who Ninkovich reminds me of.
Yeah.
And what you were talking about, you keep bringing up New England needs to sign cheap guys. What about Dwight Freeney?
You think he'd ever come to the Patriots side?
Hey.
A lot of people do.
Come to the dark side.
But I think
that Belichick is going to show up at his house with a Vader mask on.
No, he's the Emperor. He's Emperor Palpatine with the hood.
I think Ninkovich retires. I think the Patriots tell him we can't give you this much money, and that's what happens. Because, I don't know if he'd want to go anywhere else.
Okay.
Wilfork kind of got thrown in that same boat.
Right.
He chose to go to Houston, but he was in a familiar situation.
Right, I was going to say, I think a lot of
Ninkovich, I guess, could go there. He wouldn't have to be the star of the show either. So
right.